Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Let's Relieve Regret. My name is Victoria, and I'm your co-host. And this is
Shadoe Ball, your other co-host.
Shadoe hates introducing herself. Is anybody? What episode are we on now? Like episode 14 or 15?
Yeah, maybe more.
Anybody noticing some patterns?
Yeah, every time before we jump on the call, like Victoria will be like, "Who's hosting today?" And I'm always like, "You can do it," like thinking I'm being gracious, but like, no, I just don't want to do it.
Oh, I know you're not being gracious.
I'm lying to myself, is what I'm saying.
Anyways, welcome.
Yeah.
How are you feeling today, Shadoe?
I'm feeling pretty good. Like I've got a lot to do today, but that's okay. I mean, it's better than being bored. And I mean, it's in anticipation of going somewhere, which I haven't done in a while. So it's good. I want to turn into the jerk I used to be before I would go somewhere. You know,
What's-
like we've talked about this on the podcast before, and then I saw it really well encapsulated on social media this week, where like I don't like the person I become when something has to get done. But man, that jerk gets shit done. Like, yeah, like if I can run around like a Tasmanian devil to like get all the dishes done, start sweeping, empty the garbages, I can get it done so fast. But like to try and do it in a measured, nice way without engaging my temper is still a challenge.
Oh, like you
And
have
I
to
think
you have to get feisty.
yeah, so I also think it's why I've procrastinated a bit, because like if I procrastinate, then I have an excuse to let the monster out, you know? But all that to say, I guess right now I'm feeling about a 7 out of 10 because I'm feeling all right. And I do have this big task ahead of me, but that's okay. How about you?
Yeah, I think 7 out of 10 today too. I
Mm-hmm.
went for a walk this morning. It's nice and warm out, but I'm pooped from the walk a little bit. So
Oh, yeah.
I maybe I'm an 8, but I'm feeling like tired in my body. So I'm gonna give myself a 7 out of 10.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, it is warm, but did it go up too much too fast?
It can never go up too much too fast for me. I don't care.
Okay, fair
If
enough.
it's like 25 degrees Celsius here, and 3 days ago it was like what, 12? No, it
Yeah.
can never go up too much too fast. I love the heat. I love the summer. I'm cool with it. It's great. I'm fine.
That's funny. My cap is about like anything above 22, I start to get a little bit like mad about. Like even in the summer, like even in the actual summer, I love an 18 to 22 degrees Celsius.
No,
That's
that's
my
not summer weather. That's
I
spring
don't
weather.
care. That's my
No.
comfort zone. Is that
No.
yes. We should
I
have our
want like
list. Well,
30 degrees. Yeah,
no.
30 degrees. That's what I
No,
want.
I
Yeah.
well, I think it's also like we talked about this before too. Like I don't like sweating. I don't like the sensation of sweating. And 30 degrees means I'm gonna be pretty sweaty, even just doing basic stuff.
I do like sweating. I love a
Okay,
sauna. I love a steam room.
that's fair.
I do like sweating as long as I can jump in a lake.
Right.
And I
Right.
live on the lake.
Yeah.
So it works
Yeah.
for me. It's funny how I designed my life that way.
That's great. Yeah, versus like I walk Gertie in like the thinnest amount of clothes possible in 30-degree weather. Then I have to come home and change my clothes. Like there's just no getting around it. And so the laundry amount goes up. It's a whole thing. So
It's a
yeah,
whole
18 to 22 is my zone where like I can walk Gertie, come home, not have to change my clothes, you know. Yeah. And I like that little bit of a breeze too. Like you still get like the sun and the peacefulness and the birds, but like you're not sweating.
no. I like the heat.
Yeah,
I
that's
love the
fair.
heat.
That's
Bring it
fair.
on.
That's hilarious.
Do you have a cause for applause?
Oh, I do. My cause for applause, and it's gonna sound silly, but you know how we all just started wearing like comfy pants for like 4 years, maybe more than
I
that, maybe
do.
less than that. I bought a couple pairs of real pants on the weekend.
Whoa.
Yes, with like structure and a zipper and belt loops. And then I also bought a belt. So
I,
I'm getting reacquainted with what real pants feel like. And man, I forgot about things like storage and like it's actually really great to feel that structure again and kind of feel like tuck. And then it's also like when I wear my real pants, I'm like doing business. So even if I'm home, like, you know what I mean? Like I feel a little bit more put together. And then when I take them off to put on my comfy pants, it's more of a transition to like, okay, now I can relax. Versus when I wear my comfy pants all day, I feel like there is no on or off for either thing. So it's just kind of all of it all the time. It's like relax, do some work, relax, do some work, do some work, relax. Where like now, like even just having like a couple pairs of real pants means I do
It's
the
like a
work
mindset shift for
and
you.
then I do the relaxing, and that
Yeah.
does help a little bit.
I have a friend that calls them hard pants,
Oh, hard pants. I
like
love that.
stiff pants, because they're made out of like hard material.
Right.
It's like, these are my hard pants, or these are my like loungewear pants.
I like that better than real pants, because all pants are real pants, I guess. But
Yeah, I had a
yeah,
conversation with her last week and she was like, I have to buy some hard pants. I'm looking for hard. Just like, and I laughed so hard because I was like,
yeah,
I get what you mean. You mean like jeans or stiff pants or like stiff
yeah,
cotton or like not flowy loose pants, like hard pants.
yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm the opposite of you. I gave up on hard pants at the beginning of the pandemic. I do
Yeah,
not own a pair of jeans. Like I was like, oh, nope.
right.
I realized I'd gotten rid of all my jeans and I haven't bought another pair.
Yeah.
Maybe I should buy some hard pants.
Also, though, like if it works for you, it works for you. Like for me, I don't like carrying a purse. And now that we're getting into like jacket season being over, where's my storage? That's the
Yeah,
other
no,
thing.
I'm the
Like,
same actually. I think we've talked about this on the podcast before.
yeah.
I got rid of the big purse because if men can do it, like men just have like a wallet and they put it in their pocket. I'm like, I can do that too.
But in the pocket of their hard pants.
Yeah, you're right. It is the pocket of the hard pants.
Yeah.
So in the summer, I do like a little fanny pack, but I wear it
Nice.
like diagonally across my
Yes, that's the style. It's no
little
longer a
like diagonal.
fanny pack. It's not a waist bag either. Waist bag sounds like something. I mean, some
That
people
sounds
call it a
weird.
waist bag because of like
Waist
your
bag.
waist, but then your waist bag could also have waist bags in it because you walk your dog and that's a waist bag. So I think fanny pack is still the name of it, even when you wear it not across your fanny. But I could be wrong. Maybe it's got a whole other name, like mini bag, or I don't know.
Yeah, I'm probably just an old person calling it a fanny pack. I'm sure there's another name for it.
Oh, we get older by the second, don't we?
Yeah, so my cause for applause, I went in the lake yesterday.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah, I've had this goal, which I think I've also talked about. I want to go in the lake every month in 2023. So I went in
Okay,
January, went in February. We're talking polar dips here.
right.
I went in March. I went in April. So yesterday was my May. I might go back in again today. And then
Oh,
like
nice.
obviously June, July, August, September will be
Yeah,
easy. And then
yeah.
it'll be a challenge again, like October, November, December. But
Mhm.
I'm in month 5 and I did my month 5 polar dip
Nice.
yesterday.
And was
And
it still quite polar?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I stayed in, I went in up to my neck and I think I stayed in for about 45 seconds.
Okay.
And Christian took a video. He like zoomed in on my face and I'm just doing like, I look like I'm in labor, just like deep breathing. Like
That's funny.
serious deep breathing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, we should like share that, or maybe like it could be like a secret share to only our supporters so that it's not like,
Yeah,
you
we'll
know,
post it
yeah.
somewhere. We'll put it somewhere. Speaking of
Yeah.
supporters, good segue.
Mm.
Good segue, Shadoe. We're really excited, everyone out there, that we've set up a supporter stream. And you can, if you love what we're doing on the podcast, you want to support us. We're doing this all on our own. We don't have any sponsors yet. So if you want to support us, you can now subscribe. You can be a supporter through Buzzsprout support, and you can do it for as little as $3 a month. We will send you a little gift in your email when you sign up to be a supporter. We'll send you an audio copy of my letting go meditation, and that's our gift for you. And you can listen to it whenever you need to relieve regret or let go of worry. It's a beautiful meditation. So when you sign up to be a supporter, we'll send you that. And there'll probably be some perks in the future as well. And
Mm-hmm.
we'll do shout outs to supporters too at the podcast.
Oh, absolutely. If with your permission, we'll of course ask you first if it's
But if
okay.
you would like to be a supporter, check that out in the podcast notes, everybody. We are forever grateful for you for listening and for any of the ways that you choose to support us, whether it's subscribing for as low as $3 a month, or giving us a 5-star review on Spotify, or giving us a written review on Apple Podcasts, because whenever you do that, it makes our podcast higher up on the algorithm. So it'll be available for more people to see it and to click play. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, and also feel free to reach out. Like, I know a couple of you do reach out to us on Instagram, and I love our conversations. It makes me so happy to see that someone's reached out. I might not get back to you like right away, but you know, I definitely will get back to you within a couple days. And yeah, I just love that, you know, one of our supporters reached out about the story I shared about meeting RuPaul, and had like a different view, very much agreed with you. And her and I have had like a couple of other conversations based on that kind of starting point. And that's the whole point of this podcast, is we want to like talk to like-minded people. And if you're getting a lot of value out of the podcast, like let us know and let your friends know and share it wherever you can.
Yeah, we're creating a community here. And that's part of the experiment, was what is it like for us? But it's also really awesome to know that it's making a difference, even if it makes like one little tiny change for you, or even if you just laugh while you're listening to it, we know it makes a difference in your life. And we're creating community, and by you listening and having aha moments and sharing in our experiences, we create a shared experience, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. Please support us. Victoria might need some hard pants in the future.
Yeah, I might need to buy myself some hard pants, everyone. So please support us.
So this would help us to reach that goal.
Yeah, so you can find that in the podcast notes. There's a link there that says support us on Buzzsprout subscriptions. Please do that, everybody. We appreciate you so much.
I'm going to just take over hosting for just a second because I believe you're going to go first today.
I am.
Okay, excellent. So do you want to like give us any pretext to your story today, or do you just want to get right into it?
I guess it's kind of a business one for anybody out there that owns their own business, has a side hustle, but it can also translate into being an employee too. I guess I'll say that. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So take it away, Victoria.
All right. I have a regret about, I guess it's an attitude or relationship that I want to let go of in order to move forward in my business. And I also think possibly in my life, but that's a whole other regret. I have been undervaluing myself with money. And here's where it comes from. I regret underpricing myself at the beginning of my business. So way, way back when I was just a personal trainer, underpriced myself then. As my business has grown, there has been this kind of feeling or idea that I have to offer a discount or I have to offer a deal. And this comes from a weird relationship that I have, or a weird limiting belief that I have, that if I get money, that means I'm a greedy person. And it also comes from a belief when I started my business that I've learned about myself. And again, limiting beliefs are these beliefs that are in the back of our head or that are in our subconscious that we might not know are there, but they're driving us. So I've realized I also have had another limiting belief that no one would pay me my worth. But what I've learned in the process that I've been on is that if I ask for more money, that doesn't mean I'm greedy. It means I'm valuing myself. So the attitude or limiting belief that I am letting go of is underpricing myself, undervaluing myself, and connecting that to being greedy or a bad person. Consequences of me holding on to this belief is my business won't grow and thrive. I'm also holding myself back from possibly taking risks and offering bigger programming that could help a lot of other people and bigger high ticket items. And it does affect my self-esteem, or it affects like how I believe in myself. And I need to take the risk to believe in myself and have those bigger ticket items. And it will help repair my relationship with money, I believe. So I'm letting go of the belief that asking for more money means you're greedy or a bad person, exchanging that for understanding my worth, and that money is just an exchange of energy. And it's a way that we show worth in our society, but it doesn't actually have anything to do with being a bad person. I did everything that I could in the moments when I was starting my business with the tools that I had at the time, and that's okay. That's who I was then, and I've grown, and I'm choosing to continue to grow and continue to shift my relationship with money moving forward.
Love that. Do you want feedback today or to just be heard?
Feedback. Give me some feedback.
Okay. Oh man, I feel like I hear this from every single entrepreneur I've ever talked to, including myself. So, and I talk to myself. I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit that. Yeah, I think what you're saying is completely true. You want to have like, you almost don't believe in your service, so you believe that by pricing it lower will entice buyers. But will it entice the correct buyer?
Right. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, the interesting thing about it, as I've been like meditating on this or thinking about it, is I do believe in my service.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, and maybe this is my ego talking right now a little bit, I actually have spent like 20 years honing the services that I offer. And
Yeah.
I am at a point in my business now where I feel that what I do offer, whether it's one-on-one coaching or whether it is coming to one of my classes like brain fitness or my letting go meditation, or even my fitness classes that are part of my membership, I think the quality that I'm offering is exceptional. And I know that I'm changing people's lives.
Amazing.
I just want to change more people's lives.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And like to that note too, like, I mean, it's kind of a cliched saying at this point, but like you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
So like if you're not bringing in enough to support yourself, like how can you help others really? Additionally, like I think offering a discount is really cool. Or, you know, like if one of your clients hits a rough month and they want to stay with you, but they just can't afford it for this 1 month, like it would be such a beautiful energy exchange, like you're talking about, to be able to say, like, you know what, this month is on me and I'll see you in June. You know what I mean? Like imagine how wonderful that would be to be able to offer. But if you're always like not charging enough, you're not going to be able to do that either.
My history is I come from public service before I
Right.
had my own business. And so I, I came from this place of everything was publicly funded. I could offer programs and services for free. It didn't matter. I
Mm-hmm.
was getting paid the same salary.
Right.
And I want to make sure that I believe so much in the things I do. I'm very passionate about it. It's obvious. I want it to be accessible.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to be able to experience it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason for the podcast too. The podcast is free.
Yeah.
The podcast is accessible. People can come listen to the podcast. And I want to reach as many people with my messaging as possible, because
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's helpful. I do think it's worthy. I
Yeah.
think it's valuable. I do think it's valuable.
Mm-hmm.
But this, like the pre-programming about money and greed, it's deep in me.
Right.
It's deep.
Right.
And the pre-programming of like offering a deal. And you're right, there's different ways to offer a deal.
Mm-hmm.
There's like bullhorn advertising deal, like car dealership kind of commercials, everything 75%
Yeah. Yeah.
off,
Yeah.
right? Versus something that's like sliding scale
Yeah.
versus, no, if this isn't accessible to you, talk to me, we can figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different way of offering a deal. But you're right, you can't offer that kind of deal if I don't have to do it, I guess.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really funny. Just this morning, I was talking to someone about this like love-hate relationship I have with starting in the public service,
Mm-hmm.
because like I really didn't like a lot of the things that, like, it was personally not a good fit for me to be in public service. I'll just start with that. But some of the skills I took from it, I couldn't have gotten a better education. like being super finicky about details, like being able to proofread, being able to like just be really like, because it wasn't just public service, I was in like corporate public service. So like all those like really specific nitty gritty things, or like I'll never set up a meeting with someone without having a bit of an agenda, because I want to see the agenda. I don't want to just be like, let's have a meeting, and then like at the end of the meeting nothing has gotten done. Like I'm so about those kinds of very like, it's hard to like, I don't want to just call it executive assistant stuff, but it's executive assistant stuff. And like it's funny because like I just didn't realize how much the public service kind of like got their claws in my brain about that. And I'm finding that like similar to you, there's also this claw in my brain about like, yeah, like I should just offer stuff for free. Like people need it. So why wouldn't I offer it for free?
I want to make it accessible.
Yeah. So it's yeah, because like I do think like we've definitely talked about this before, but being in the public service, having kind of like a bit of a protection bubble and a little bit of a hard thing to get out of that bubble. So it's interesting to think about the ways that happens. And like, you're right, like how do you shift it in? Like, can you get a grant?
Yeah, it's like you're shifting a different business model, right? And I get this, it's coming out right now. Like I never want to be like a greedy business person. Like that belief is still in there, right? So I'm really working on letting go of this kind of like feeling. It's a guilt feeling, I guess, like, and it's like a judgment of myself that I'm greedy. And it's interesting because I say this all the time. I think this is part of the reason why we do the podcast too, is I want my participants, I don't like calling them my participants or clients to know, like, I'm not a perfect person either, right? So I can teach all these amazing things and I live by them. I really do, but I slip up. I have limiting beliefs. And you know what? Like Oprah and Beyonce also have limiting beliefs, everybody. So like getting rid of this persona that's happened with the birth of social media that people are perfect, right? Still be of value and give expert information and give information and still be an imperfect person. And we all have I don't like the word demons, but we all have things that we work on. And that's what this experiment is, right? Is what if we talked once a week with a friend and talked about our regrets without judgment, and got feedback from each other, or just are heard. This is actually probably one of the hardest ones for me that we've done up until this point, because it is really like a fear and a limiting belief of being seen as a greedy person. And so it's one that really does have the hooks in me. And you're right, I think some of it does come from being in public service. Because I would get like accolades all the time. Oh, you're so giving. The work you're doing is so important, right? And you're doing all this charitable work and this other kind of work. And the work I'm doing now is still important. I just have to charge for it. But still important.
Absolutely. Because like
it's valuable.
And also if you're struggling to meet those basic needs, you can't help people grow, not just your business, but like your individual participants as well.
Yeah, you're literally repeating back to me advice that I give everybody, right? I talk about the concept. Like, this is great, right? That's what I'm saying. I need to hear my own advice. Like we all need to hear our own advice too. The idea of radical self-care versus, I can't remember who came up with the coin of radical self-care, but radical self-care says your cup needs to be overflowing. And it's the overflow that you give to other people. Versus this idea of like pouring from a full cup. Radical self-care says the cup should always be full and you give the overflow. And you really have to set yourself up to have that full cup and acknowledge, I don't ever want my cup to be half empty because I gave half of it away. And I think that's where most of us live on the kind of the self-care spectrum, is we're emptying our cup and refilling it, emptying and refilling it, versus keeping it full and giving the overflow. And if we can keep it full and give the overflow, wow.
Yeah.
Right? That means that we are living at our optimal, our most joyful, our most effective, productive, all of the things, and giving the overflow. We might get some flack from this from me saying this, and I'm all for it. So if you disagree with me, let me know, everybody, because I believe that it is possible for everyone to have an overflowing cup.
Interesting.
And that it is manageable. And that's the work that I do with my clients one-on-one. That's the deep work that we do.
Yeah.
Is how do we get you to a place where your life is structured in a way, or you have the tools, tips, and strategies that you have that overflowing cup the majority of the time.
Yeah.
You're going to be depleted sometimes, but we're not like, it shouldn't be like 50% of the time my cup's half full.
Right.
It should be, 80% of the time my cup is overflowing. 90% of the time my cup is overflowing. And this is a cultural shift that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Right? This is why we're having an epidemic of burnout. But we could probably relate it back to what I've said too, is acknowledging that part of filling your cup is being financially healthy.
Yes.
And having a good relationship with money and being able to ask for what you deserve. So regardless of if you own your own business or if you're an employee, being able to ask for a raise or a cost of living increase. And then the other side of the coin is employers need to be willing to do that. And they should be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because unfortunately, in North American society, money is how we show value. It's how we appreciate people, not in everything. There's so many other ways we appreciate people, but it's a hard conversation to have, to say, you know what, actually the reality is that money is also how we show value. It's also how we value another person, how we value our employees, how much they get paid.
Yeah.
Right? Or how we value ourselves, how much we ask for if we own our own business. And I'm feeling dirty saying it. I'm feeling cringy saying it, but that's the reality. And I'm learning to shift it into money is just an exchange of energy to showing value. Just like giving love, giving hugs, giving advice, eating meals together. Food is an exchange of energy that shows value and appreciation. And money is also that. It doesn't need to be something different that feels dirty. Is that it is a way of showing our appreciation and appreciating value the same way we do with other things that aren't money. An exchange of energy.
Yeah. That's really powerful. I've been struck by two things as you were talking. One was this idea of the cup overflowing. Now, I don't know how this is going to come out. What if you have a big old crack in your cup or a couple of holes that need mending?
Perfect. That's part of the process in getting the cup to overflowing, is mending the cracks in the heels, mending the limiting beliefs. Like, again, some of the work I do with one-on-one clients is creating a very, very, very personalized self-meditation that you listen to every day. That's going to deprogram and reprogram your brain to mend the cracks.
Amazing.
That's totally part of the process. Right? How do we mend the cracks? What are all the steps that we need to take, or all the things to get you to the place where your cup is overflowing?
Yeah.
That's part of the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, again, this might create flack in you. I don't know.
Bring it on.
Yeah, I know. So sticking with the cup metaphor, and oh man, I'm trying so hard to like change how I say things. I worry that the cup metaphor could become sabotaged in a way, or like co-opted, and then it becomes like a new—
In what way?
Like it becomes a new way to judge people. Like, oh, you haven't worked on your cup. Oh, you're not working on filling your cup. Like, I
think that's already happening.
Yeah, right. And I don't like that either. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want someone to feel like if they don't have a full cup that they can't give. Like, if giving of yourself helps fill your cup, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think you know what I mean. So I want to hear what you have to say about that.
So you just said if giving of yourself helps fill your cup, but that can't be the only way.
Right.
So you know how we've talked about the 6 emotional needs, and you need to make sure that you are meeting all of those needs. Okay, here's a strategy, or here, if you're thinking, okay, Victoria's being really like ethereal here, can you like make a like structured point here?
Yeah.
Like, so the 6 basic human emotional needs, we've talked about them before.
Mhm.
I'm going to see if I can remember them all right now. Being of service is one of them. So that's giving of yourself. Acts of kindness, being of service. We all need to do that because it makes us feel connected.
Mhm.
We need certainty. So we need something that makes us feel stable, something that makes us feel sure. We need uncertainty or variety, because that is novelty. That makes us feel challenged or exciting or excited, right? A challenge is uncertainty, a risk is uncertainty. We
Mhm.
need that. Then we need to feel significant. So significant doesn't necessarily mean love. It means we need to feel important.
Mhm.
So I have a leadership role at work. I have, right? And then we need love. And
Right.
love is people that make us feel valuable.
Mhm.
People that make us feel loved, wanted, valuable, worthy.
Mhm.
And I think I'm missing one. I can't remember what it is, but we'll put
Yeah.
it up in the. So this is where things get askew. You want to have all of them balanced. But what happens is we misinterpret being of service as filling our cup, and it's the only one that we focus on.
Mm. Mhm.
And we need to balance all of the emotional needs to fill our cup. Actually, being of service can fill your cup, you're right. But if it's the only thing you're doing, if you're a people pleaser, if you're someone that's always obliging others,
Mhm.
and you're not looking after the other emotional needs, it's draining your cup. So you're
Right.
right. That one is the tricky one. It needs to be balanced with the other parts of the
Mhm.
emotional needs.
Mhm. And again, like, because we're trying to not judge, like, I just wouldn't want someone to use this as another way to kind of beat themselves up. You know what I mean? That's more what I'm worried about too.
Yeah, like maybe the metaphor doesn't work for you.
Maybe.
There's other ones too, right?
Yeah.
But the brain, and thank you for the challenge. I'll try to come up with another metaphor, analogy,
Mhm.
whatever. It's an analogy, right? Not a metaphor, analogy for the next time we record. I
Yeah.
mean, the other one, the one that I actually like think is overused, is the you're on an airplane and you have to put the oxygen
Right.
mask on yourself before you help the person beside you.
Yeah.
You can't help them if you're not breathing.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So that's another metaphor that's similar to the like
Mhm.
overflowing your cup. So
Mhm.
maybe that one works better for you.
Yeah. Maybe. I also don't know if the exact metaphor is the problem, or just the idea that as these ideas gain traction, become viral, there's always like a capitalistic undertone that's like ready to sell you a shirt with it on it. You know what I mean? Or like, you know, so maybe that's just the problem, is that it doesn't really matter what the cool new way of taking care of ourselves is. We have to be careful that it's not getting like co-opted and being turned into a way to make us feel worse about ourselves.
Yeah. It's a fair point, right?
Mhm.
And so I think in the wellness industry, or kind of how I feel in the wellness industry, is constantly evolving to make sure that the message is working and it's coming from a place of kindness,
Mhm.
and that it works for your brain.
Yeah.
Because the subconscious brain loves to think in metaphors, analogies, imagination, creativity. That's the language of the subconscious brain.
Mhm.
And whether you want to admit it or not, everybody, the subconscious brain is driving you 90%
Mhm.
of your life. 90% of the time, it's the subconscious brain driving your decisions,
Mhm.
your actions, your attitudes, your mood,
Yeah.
everything. And so figuring out ways to talk in the language of the subconscious brain, like visualizing filling a cup.
Yeah.
But if there's other ways to say it too, but you always challenge me on this too. You're always like, why I like you're always like, but the other side is, what if you're using that to like feel not so great about yourself?
Yeah.
And you're right. We should always come at ourselves with kindness, because I think what happens when we're in a burnout, I can speak from my own personal experience, or in that place where your cup's just empty,
Mhm.
we judge ourselves the most.
Right.
I judge myself more than anybody else in the world will judge me. And I'm sure you feel
Yeah,
your
yeah,
inner
yeah.
monologue probably judges you more than anybody else in the world will judge you. And yeah, we can use that. So, you hear this a lot, like, oh, I'm so burnt out. I'm so tired. I know that I should be making time for me and I just can't do it. So we get into this place of like, I'm so burnt out. I'm so tired. I'm going to judge myself.
Mhm.
And then I'm just going to sit in that judgment and not take action and do anything
Right.
about it because I feel guilty about it. I think that's kind of what you're saying.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not even just self stuff. I was thinking more about people kind of weaponizing it in a weird way, you know. But I think, yeah, I'm just being a little
I'll be really
nice.
frank. I'll be really frank about it.
Yeah.
Setting boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
knowing the people that are going to meet your emotional needs, the relationships you have in your life, the communities, the relationships, the people in your life.
Yeah.
If someone is going to judge you about that, they're not your friend.
Yeah.
Their judgment doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
because they're not actually concerned about you as a person if they're judging you over that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want the people in your life that are going to instead say, oh, it seems like your cup is half empty. It seems like you're stressed or strained right now. I love you. How can I support you?
Yeah.
The people in your life that are saying, you know, you're stressed or strained, get over yourself and are judging you. You don't need them in your life. You're them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, just right.
Yeah.
Because it's not a perfect world. There are going to be people that judge. We're going to judge ourselves. You are totally right.
Yeah.
The thing that you can control, you can't control what people think of you. You can't control, right? But the thing that you can control is if you let them into your circle. If you let them into your life, that's what you get to control.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Anyways, that went somewhere drastically different from what the regret was, but I'm glad I shared that. Thank you. I feel better. It's a big one for me and I'm really working on it. This is like the inner limiting belief that I think I'm working on the most in my life is reprogramming the idea of money as a way to show myself my worth and that I am worthy and that it does not mean that I'm a greedy person.
Yeah.
Because if I can't fill my cup with money, then I can't help others.
True. Yeah.
Using the fill the cup analogy, right? If my money cup isn't full, I can't help others. I can't help the people I love. I can't help others. I can't help others that might need my programming. And I want to be able to do things with the people I love to support the people I love. And you need money to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it means you're actually a good person.
Yeah. And that's so great. I know I said I wouldn't say any more things.
You can say one more thing.
When I very first started going to therapy, I did have benefits at work, and so I was paying for it, and I of course was saying like, oh, I feel like I'm wasting your time because of like I in my head I was like, other people have it so much worse, so like, you know, by me taking up an hour of your time, like you could be helping other people, right? And my therapist stopped me right there and said, hey, no, because you pay me the full amount, which means I can offer pro bono to people who are struggling more. And that was really cool of like, oh, right. Like, that was a really good reframe for me in terms of paying for things that I like thought were worthy. But like to now take that piece of advice and apply it to charging enough, I think is going to be a challenge for myself as well.
Yeah. And that's where I'm at too. So I hope this was helpful, entrepreneurs out there. I hope this was helpful in many ways, not just entrepreneurs, you know, from both sides of the coins. Like what you just said, knowing like I'm paying full price for something because the person is worth me paying the full price for it. Also, that's going to help that person continue to give more. There's a ripple effect. To pay full price.
Absolutely.
Would you like to share yours?
I would.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, great. I am going to give a little preamble again, which is just that this isn't a specific story. It's just like an overall attitude thing, like kind of what yours was. I have a regret I need to let go of in order to move forward. I regret not understanding that stand-up comedians can make up the stories they do when they do stand-up. I thought stand-up comedy was only clever observations about stuff that had happened. I always thought that the key to being a successful comedian was to live an interesting life so that you had a lot of material to work with. I mistakenly believed that my life was too boring to keep an audience engaged, so I never got up on stage in that way. I tried improv, I tried clown class, I did sketch comedy, but I never ever tried stand-up comedy. I was also a little bit fearful that if I did try stand-up comedy, I would either tell a story about myself that's too embarrassing or someone else, because I loved sharing other people's stories too. The consequence I'm missing out on due to holding this regret is that I'm still too afraid to try stand-up comedy myself. Oddly, understanding that it can be made up has increased the pressure I've put on myself, not decreased it. I tell myself that I can be funny in the moment or having a conversation with someone, but not in a prepared way, or that my stuff is too weird or not weird enough. I'm very thankful that I have this podcast with Victoria where I can explore how to share regrets in a way that doesn't have to be funny. All the stories I've shared on this podcast have been true so far. Maybe I'll come up with a fake one later. But I've done everything I can back when I was still kind of doing performance-y things, and that's okay. That is who I was then, and I have grown in so many ways. I'm relieved because I'm capable of sharing my true stories through this podcast. I feel electric about the idea of playing pretend. I'm worthy of creating an interesting world and writing an enticing adventure.
Would you like feedback or just to be heard?
Feedback's good on this one. It's light.
It's funny because I always like write as I write down as you're telling
Yeah.
your regrets, that you do it too, because again, everybody, we don't pre-plan. We don't know what each other's say. And literally as I was writing, but you're doing it right now. You were like,
yeah.
You were like, and I know that I'm doing it in this podcast. So it's interesting because at the beginning you said, you have this fear of telling a story about yourself that's embarrassing or about someone else.
Yeah.
And you freely do it here comfortably.
I think that not having a live audience is helpful. Because
we can edit it.
Yeah.
But we don't actually edit a lot.
No, but I even mean just like the energy exchange of like being on stage, again, doing a clown turn or doing a sketch. Like if it's not going well, you know that a joke's coming. Like, like you already, where like if you do stand up and you're just bombing joke after joke after joke, like, and you still have like 3 minutes left, it's going to be nightmarish to just sit through that, experience. But yeah, like, and I also like the greatest comedians in my life. Like, I'm not talking about people who have Netflix specials. I'm just talking about people who I've seen on stage, my friends and stuff like that. Like, I honestly thought all the stories they told were things that had actually happened in their life. And I think it's also because for some of my friends, it was like a hybrid. Like I would just, like, they would tell a story and it was like, oh man, I was there when that happened. And like, they didn't like exaggerate, like they told a true story. So, but yeah, like I'm now watching some Netflix stand-up specials, and the fact that I now understand that some of it can be made up, it's like, oh, that's why it runs so smoothly, or that's why this is so funny, or that's why like this part is like punchier, you know what I mean? Like, and I thought as soon as I figured that out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to write my own stand-up comedy set. But then when I sat down and tried, it was like even more stressful, because like now I kind of see behind the curtain, and it's like, oh, dang, like that might even be tougher. But I love world building. And when I was a kid, I loved writing short stories. I loved doing all that kind of stuff.
Sorry, I have two like kind of curious questions.
Yeah.
Where did this idea that you need to do startup come from? Stand up.
I think again, just because I was hanging out with lots of stand-ups, and they like after the show, we'd all be like hanging out in the back alley, just talking. That's all you do in a back alley after a stand-up comedy show. You talk and nothing else, children. But and it would always be weird because like, not always, but like sometimes I would feel weird because I'd be like the only person in that little group that didn't do a set. And so lots of people were saying like, oh, you'd be so good at this and blah, blah, blah. And like, I think like it absolutely frightens me to think of like writing some jokes and getting up on stage and telling those jokes without having like a clown option or a skit partner, or like it absolutely frightens me. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I just regret not understanding earlier that I could have made it up, and because I might have taken more risks.
I guess what I'm trying to understand is Is it something that you actually want to do, or is it something that you think you should do?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because, and we've talked a little bit about this before. This is my second curious question, is the idea that being a performer is part of your identity.
Right.
So is it something that you actually want to do, or is it something that you think you need to do to, I don't know,
Gain
be part of
value.
your identity, or to be valued, or to included in this group of friends that you're not really in with them if you don't do it? Or do you actually want to do it?
Wow. I think I'll have to actually sit with that question, because I thought I did, but like, as I'm kind of checking everything in my life lately, maybe not. Right. But I don't necessarily want to walk away from it either. Like, I like what we're doing here with this podcast, where it is funny because like we're both funny and it just kind of naturally comes up. But yeah.
Sometimes we can find other ways to meet those needs in surprising ways, right? And that's what writing, you're doing it right now.
Yeah.
But it could be worth exploring. Like, why are you putting all this pressure on yourself that it's something, and it sounds like this pressure has been going on for years in your head, kind of around this idea of trying to do stand up, and you have other outlets. So you can kind of step back and think, is this something I actually want to do? And I can kind of relate.
Yeah.
In like, I've been like rowing for 30 years,
Right.
and then the pandemic, and I stopped. Well, I'm a rowing coxswain. I've talked about it before. And now I'm like doing a little here, a little there, going back out in a boat again, because I actually want to answer that question for myself.
Right.
Is rowing's been a part of my identity for 75% of my life. And because I started young, I started at like 13.
Yeah.
And is it something that's still going to bring me joy, and something that I actually want to do, or is it something that I need to do because I'm good at it?
Right. I actually do have an answer, but I'll let you.
What is it?
I think here's what it comes down to. I've always wanted to be a talk show host. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be like a talk show host. And especially
right now, we're going to have guests that we interview.
I know. And especially late night, like I would watch so much late night TV, and I would like flick through the channels to try and catch all the monologues, like back when you actually had to flip through channels, again, children. But yeah, like, and the more and more I want to get hosting gigs, like the more and more you had to have stand-up comedy as your like backbone to prove you could be a host, kind of thing. So I think that's what it is. I still really have a childhood desire to become a talk show host one day. And I see stand-up comedy as a stepping stone to getting there. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Is everybody's journey or path the same?
Obviously.
Could you end up there in another way without having all of this pressure about?
But I think the stand-up comedy pressure would just be like, it would be like training. It would be like doing sprints for a marathon. Like the stand-up comedy is what gets you ready to be a host. You know what I mean? You don't just get to step into hosting, which again is so funny that this episode started with me being like, I don't want to host, but it's because I want to host so badly.
Yeah. Right. But it's not just hosting. Yeah. It's, you're comfortable in front of a microphone now. You're comfortable talking to yourself. Like, and we just decided to do this, right? We weren't like, oh, but we're not good at this, and we haven't done this yet. This yet. Everybody's journey to where they want to be is different. Life is complex. And sometimes when we think we have to do this one thing to get to this one place, we're actually holding ourselves back from getting to the place.
That's true.
But we've literally just figured out in this conversation together that it's actually not about being a stand-up comedian. The thing you actually want to do, host something.
Be a host.
And you are doing it. And it can grow and evolve from here. And sometimes we don't see that we are doing it, or sometimes we don't see that. This is the cool thing too about planting a seed in your subconscious brain, but then you need to be aware sometimes, or bring yourself back to it, because we can plant a seed in our subconscious brain. Again, that's what I do with one-on-one work. It's not brainwashing people. It's just like programming subconscious brain with one-on-one work with with, individualized meditations and
Mhm.
affirmations and things like that, sometimes we are getting to the place we want to be, but because the journey is different than what we thought it was going to be, we don't actually see that we're getting to the place that we want to be.
Right.
Because our subconscious brain is still guiding our actions, our decisions, our actions, attitudes, and behaviors based on that want.
Yeah,
Or
true.
based on did, but we get caught in the idea that the only way I can get there is this path. And we don't even realize that we're taking steps to get there.
Right. True.
And that's like an exercise in self-awareness and an exercise in appreciating the actions you are taking, and also appreciating that sometimes the path is different. Let me bring it back to emotional needs.
Right.
Uncertainty, right? Certainty versus uncertainty. The uncertainty can be like, the path is different. I don't necessarily know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to get there. And wait a minute, when I step back and actually reflect on what I'm doing in my life, I actually am doing things to help me get there, which I've said this already in today's podcast. The subconscious brain is driving you 95% of the time and you don't even know it.
Right.
And this is like perfect example. You're hosting a podcast. We don't know where this is going to go. It's going to evolve and grow, and opportunities are going to come. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to alleviate the pressure you feel about it.
No, I think that's really useful.
Think about it.
Yeah, I think that's really, really useful. And I can already feel like my defense mechanisms coming up. So I'm just gonna like park those.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Process it, because that resistance is always, when you feel that defense or that resistance, it's the subconscious brain saying, I had this pattern, I don't want to change it. But that doesn't mean that the pattern shouldn't be changed or can't be changed. It's just that the brain is lazy and it doesn't. When you first bring up the idea of changing a pattern in your life, the brain says, I don't want to do that, because it actually takes a lot of calories to actually change like patterns in your brain, because you're actually growing new nerve cells and creating new thought patterns, and the brain doesn't want to do it. Because its number one job is survival. Its number one job is burn less calories so that I can survive if I'm a cave person. Right? We still have our cave person brain. Right? So resistance is a great thing to feel and sit in it and process it. Right? And I would also say, like, when you feel defensiveness, turn it into resistance instead, because defensiveness can be like, we react right away with defensiveness and we say things we don't mean, or we, so when you feel yourself being defensive, acknowledge that it's not defensiveness, it's actually resistance. And why am I feeling this resistance? And take your time to process it. So take your time to process it. I'm so glad that I could bring up some resistance in you today, Shadoe, that I could like, poke you and like then make some resistance or defensiveness coming. That's great.
Well, because like
I'm cool with sitting in the uncomfortable places, everyone, because that's where change comes from.
Well, and again, it speaks to like how long you've been honing your skills and how valuable they are. Because I feel this, and it's so funny because like once you go through therapy and you start looking at your brain with like from like an outer vision, I guess, like there's this part of me that I think even 5 years ago, I would have been like, no, Victoria, you don't get it. Like you have to be a stand-up before you're a host. You just don't understand the industry like I do. Like, like I don't understand the industry either. But because I've grown through working with you and just being your friend, like I felt that come up, but I also saw it. I also could like see it instead of just saying it. Like I could see the thought come up and be like, wait a minute, is that true? Or is that just me being defensive, So again,
you had the self-awareness. Like, I think the word you're looking for is self-awareness. See, like you felt it come up.
Yeah.
You observed yourself. Observe first, interact second.
Yeah.
And observing can be observing the people around you, the energy around you, but you can also be observing yourself and your reactions, right?
Yeah. Incredible.
Isn't that amazing? You're amazing.
You are. Oh my gosh. What a great episode, everyone.
Look what you just demonstrated. You're so amazing. I feel like you're a whole entire cause for applause right now, all on your own.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, now you're really
and now making Shadoe feel uncomfortable because she doesn't like receiving compliments.
Big time, but it's okay. I'm ready. It's fine.
I'm the queen of uncomfortableness today. Sorry.
It's great. I love it. I love it so much.
Anyways, thank you for your share. I think
Thank
it
you
was
for your
really
feedback.
valuable.
And thank you for your share earlier. I don't know if I thanked you before. I just got into my feedback like right away.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, great.
2 really valuable shares from about two totally different things today.
For
They
sure.
don't relate to each other at all. And that's cool
Yeah.
because, that's what we do here.
Mhm.
Sometimes they relate, sometimes they don't, because we want it to be real and authentic and we don't know what the other person's going to say, so that we have real reactions and a real conversation that you get to listen to, everybody. So thanks, everybody. Is there anything else you want to say before we go to closing, Shadoe?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Okay.
Let's do our 3 breaths of letting go, everybody. Again, come onto the front edge of your chair, put your feet flat on the floor, or you can stand up. If you're driving, please don't put your feet flat on the floor and please don't close your eyes. But of course, you can do the 3 breaths and the thinking part. Just make sure that you're safe, everyone. Come onto the front edge of your chair. Feel your feet on the floor. Let them sink into the floor. And know that that is the earth always supporting you. That is the earth and gravity holding onto you and grounding you. You are always safe because gravity will never let you fly away. So just by being a human being on the face of planet Earth, you are safe and you are supported. And if you want, you can put one hand on your heart. And you can put a hand on your belly to feel that breath come in and out. And if you want, you can close your eyes and it's safe to do so. And on this first inhale, you're going to think to yourself, I choose to release pressure and expectations. And exhale. And on this next breath, as you inhale, I release my regrets. My past does not define me. And a big cleansing exhale. And on this last breath, big inhale. I choose to be kind to myself moving forward. And a big exhale. Let those shoulders drop and release. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate you so much. Please get in touch with us. Please provide us feedback. We love it. We also appreciate you so much. If you think our podcast is valuable to help us reach out to other people, give us a 5-star review or a written review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you want, you can become a supporter and a sponsor of our podcast too. Check out the notes. Thanks, everybody. We hope you have an awesome week and we will see you next time.
Absolutely.
Okay, bye.